Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Horse Center. I know that I am not Julie or Jamie. Rich back. Sorry, folks. Tonight we're joined by Sean and DeShawn Parker. DeShawn, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us. We were talking a little bit about the show about how you're enjoying the New Orleans weather. You're gonna maybe go do some fishing tomorrow. So what do you got on tap?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a lot warmer tomorrow, and it's a day off. So we just ran 5 days this week, and trust me, going fishing and just relaxing, it just takes everything away. So I'm just gonna go over to the lake and just try to just throw the rod out there and see what I can catch. If I don't catch anything, I'm just gonna enjoy just being out there.
What kind of fish are you fishing for? I know, like, you're looking for walleye, bass. What are you kind of pike?
No,
What are you looking for?
they've got reds over here and stuff like that. So try to catch
Do
those.
you catch and release, or are you going to eat them?
No, I catch and release. If I do keep them, sometimes I'll take them to the track and give them away to the guys. But if they're big enough, I'll probably keep them. But half the time you're lucky to get one.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, you're out there for the. If you haven't done it, my friends and I went up to Canada one time and fished on the lake. I forget the lake of the name now, Thunderbird or something like Red Lake, I think the name was. And you're out there, it's serene, it's really quiet, and man, it's really a chance to just decompress. And I can imagine after 5 days off, it's the decompression as much as is the fishing that you enjoy.
Oh yeah, trust me. It's like you just relax and you just don't think about anything, and you just kind of just enjoy being out there and with the good weather and the water and everything like that. So that's just what I enjoy.
Why don't you share with us your biggest fishing tale?
I wish I had one.
You don't have one?
No. Like I said, I went out with Mitchell Morrow. Last year we went out on he does a bow fishing. So we went out night fishing and stuff like that. When you do the bow fishing, he's got the lights around his boat and everything, and you sit there and you fish for him. We caught a couple big, nice grouper and stuff like that over. That time, those were probably the biggest ones I've caught. It's pretty fun doing it too. First time ever doing it, so I really had a lot of fun.
That sounds like it. I was fishing on the Mississippi River one day with some friends in between Iowa and Illinois. It was raining, and they're, come on, let's go in. And I'm like, oh, I'm telling you, I'm getting a bite. They're telling me I was full of it. And then my line went, I pulled out like a 19, 20-pound catfish. And that thing fought like if it was like stuck, like an anchor stuck to the ground. But anyway.
Yeah, that's how catfish are. They just lay there.
Yeah, and that was a big catfish. Big, almost his head was bigger than mine, and I got a big head. So let's talk a little bit about 2022. You're a veteran. You're a pro at this business. Let's just be honest. You're a vet. You're a pro. You know this business inside out, upside down, and backwards. And yet, 2022, money-wise, was your best year ever. So first, congratulations on that. But what does a guy with your skill level do that you just have at this point in your career the best year ever?
I'll tell you the truth. This year, I just won a lot more stakes and stuff like that. I got lucky to ride for some great, people, and they had, nice horses, and I got to, ride in a lot of stake races and actually win them. So, it worked out great that year. That way. But, this year was just good, period. Like I said, I won my 6,000, and I just riding high, I guess.
So in 2023, what are your thoughts for the year ahead? What are you going to do to build on last year? How does a guy with your skill level, your experience, continue to sharpen the saw, as Stephen Covey said?
Man, I just try to go out there every day and just keep doing what I'm doing. I like I said, I definitely want to get a greatest stake win somehow. There's Chester Thomas, which he's an owner over here. He's with Brett Calhoun. He has horses with a bunch of different trainers. He told me he's definitely going to try to get that done for me. So hopefully we can get that done. And like I said, I enjoy what I do. So I think that's what helps me out a lot. Riding, I feel like it's a pleasure for me to be able to do what I'm doing, because if not, I wouldn't be. Me doing this is just like, a dream. So, I'm living a dream, and I'm just going to ride whatever I can get, what I have, and keep it going. And hopefully they just keep winning, and things happen. So I'll just let them happen. I'm not out there really trying to say, I want to do this, I want to do that. I want to just try to ride and win. And when that happens, different things happen. So I just go from there.
Speaking of riding, let's rewind to, I think it was Thistledown 1989.
Oh,
You
yeah.
probably know where I'm going with this. Your dad said to you, okay, DeShawn, I want you to get on a horse and ride one horse, right? If you get on the horse and you ride it and you don't have the thrill, then don't worry about it. You'll have gotten it out of your system. I would say 6,085 wins later, it's safe to say you haven't gotten over that thrill yet. So
No.
tell us a little bit, rewind back to that time, how much your dad meant to you in terms of getting you into this business, how much your dad continues to influence your will to do well. And what do you think you'll ever lose that thrill?
Oh man, that day was the greatest day. I mean, I ended up riding two that day. I rode back to back two, and I mean, it was just like the best thing ever. And I was never tired the whole time until I got done. I think I just like mentally I was just drained, and then I just slept the whole day. But I mean, I woke up the next day, jumped up, ready to go back out there and work horses and try to get more mounts. And my dad just always told me, he's like, look, for one thing, I had to finish school. That was the main thing I had to do was finish high school in order to keep riding. So I rode, a couple months, and then I went back to school and finished school and everything like that. Which I got a story about school is crazy, but I mean I got lucky and everything with that. So what my dad has always told me, just if you're able to do it and you want to do it, just keep doing it. Don't listen to people what they're saying, how tall you are and stuff like that. So I mean, I just put it in the back of my head that way, and I've always been out there just trying to just win races and try to prove people wrong. That I, saying I was too tall and everything like that. So I just try to prove them wrong, and then once you start winning, then everybody's gonna ride you. So I got lucky, start winning some races, and I rode for Dale Bear for a long time, and that was probably really, got me going at Mountaineer, and he was winning races like crazy. So I mean, it was just like hang on for him. And once I started winning those races, and people just started putting me on horses, they didn't think about how tall I was or anything like that. So I mean, it's just a great thing. My dad's been like always behind me and telling me what to do and helping me out and stuff like that. When he passed away, it was like I lost a lot right there. But I mean, he's still with me today, riding with me. So I mean, it's a great thing. And I mean, I think about him every day. It's hard to. I mean, that's. And on a racetrack, with him being on a racetrack, a lot of people ask about him all the time, and give me stories, and so it's always hard to get away from him, which I don't want to get away from him anyway. But I mean, I love hearing the stories that people tell me and everything. So
Now, your dad was one of the first African American horse racing officials, right?
yes, yeah.
And now, obviously, today, MLK Day, I saw in a recent interview you had mentioned growing up on the backside, there was a more prominent influence from African Americans. So how can horse racing bring more people from African American background back into the sport? Because way back in the beginning of the day, they dominated the sport on the backside and on the horses. So how do we bring more people back into the business?
I think what we have to do is we have to like just start bringing the kids out to the track, and letting them do things on the backside. Because when you grow up in the business, it's totally different. You feel you want to do it more to just being on the outside looking in. Because when you're on the outside looking in, you don't really see what really goes on, and get to feel the horses and be around the horses. But once you're around the horses and you enjoy the horses, like I said, when you get the kids on the backside, they love that. And I mean, like a lot of tracks, used to keep kids off the backside, and I wish they would just let them on now. That way, they can grow up on the backside and just really understand the feeling of the horse and fall in love with them, which they will as soon as they, get around them and touch them and everything like that. And so, hopefully, that will happen. And I mean, just bring more people to the backside and just get them around horses more.
Sean, how you doing tonight? I come on and right away. I agree.
Oh, okay. So DeShawn, you got your 6,000 back in June. We talked about it, but do you keep track of? So you've had 85 wins since. Does it feel like that many since? And
no, it really doesn't.
Do you look at it and go, okay, I need 15 more, and I have another 100. Now I have 6,100.
No, I'm always the one who everybody's always, hey, how many wins you got? I was like, I really don't know. I know I got over 6,000. So I try to make it less hard for me to, the less I have to think about and worry about has this helped me out. I mean, like I said, even when you go for those milestones, when you get to around 10 or something like that, it starts getting a lot of pressure. But this year, they were telling me at 30 and 40, and I was like, man, I don't really want to know that far out, you know. So I mean, it's not really pressure, but I mean, you start feeling it because you start getting everybody, oh, you're gonna win this one today, you're gonna win it today, you're gonna do it today. And I mean, it's like it's hard to predict what you're gonna do. If I could predict what I'm gonna do, I'd tell everybody what I'm gonna do, you know. But I mean, it's hard to do that, you know. And I have to have the horse, you know. I could be on 3 or 4 favorites that day, and they run like crap, and I'm like, oh man, here we go again, you know. And everybody's, come on, when you gonna do it? I'm like, trust me, I want to do it. I want to get it done. But it's not like I can, you know, just go out there and say, oh, okay, I'm doing it today, and it's gonna happen.
So you've kind of mentioned it. This has been a topic all week, obviously, because of the unfortunate situation with Avery Wiseman. But mental health, you've kind of mentioned it already with the pressures, stuff like that. Can you go into a little bit of like that? And what would you recommend young jockeys would do to make it as far as you did and love the game?
I'm gonna tell you the truth. You know, I've always been one to not put much pressure on myself because you know I'm only gonna be as good as the horse I'm on. You know, and I feel that way. So I mean, I'm not trying to go out there and say I'm better than this and better than that, and I can do this better. And so I'm trying to, you know, I guess, do everything the right way because then you're gonna make mistakes and everything. So I mean, as a young rider, what I would tell a lot of young riders is just like enjoy it. You know, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Don't sit there and think that just because you're on an 8-5 or even money favor that day that you're going to win that race because it doesn't happen that way. And don't get upset when it doesn't happen because you're going to lose more than you win in this game. So you got to realize that too. And you have to have you really have to have something that you enjoy off the racetrack to just get your mind off the racetrack, period. Because you get a lot of trainers and you get a lot of owners that are, you know, always kind of not really putting you down, but if you're not winning, you know, it's hard to, you know, keep them guys happy because they want people, you know, the jockeys that are winning and stuff like that. But it's not even like a lot of times there's not a reason why you're not winning. It's just sometimes things go different ways, you know, in a race. So I mean, it happens. But I mean, we're only as fast as the horse we ride too. So you have to realize that too. But I mean, what I will tell a lot of, you know, young kids and young guys in the game, just find something just to go out and not even think about the horse race. And that's why I go fishing. You know, I go do a lot of other different things and, you know, just to relax and just get away and not think about the horse racing. And I try to, and which is a lot of people find it kind of crazy, is I don't really worry about what I ride tomorrow until the day I ride them horses. Because, you know, if I think about that horse I got to ride in the 5th race tomorrow, and then plus I got to ride today, you know, I'm already, you know, messing my mind up that way. I want to think about what I got to do today, the horses I have to ride today, and then worry about tomorrow. So I've always kind of like eased my mind doing that way. But I mean, it's hard. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you got a lot of pressure on yourself. It's not really, you have a lot of pressure on yourself. We as jockeys put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And it's hard to not do it. You know, you can tell yourself not to do it, but you're going to do it. But like I say, if you can find something that you enjoy in life and get away and do that, and just, you know, not even think about things like horse racing or track or anything, that's the best thing I can, you know, advice I can give you. And just go and do that and enjoy it. You know,
Quick question.
And worry about tomorrow.
In terms of like, so somebody, you know, horse racing, we've read a lot about jockeys who've had a meteoric start to their career and in their lives kind of get a little bit out of hand from the success. What sort of resources are available to jockeys outside of the jock room? Do tracks have help for that? Is it something you have to seek on your own? Is there a sort of like fraternity in the jock's room where if you have an issue, you can go up to the vet and say, hey man, I'm not quite sure how to deal with this. What's like the best course of action for somebody who might be feeling down?
You know, there really isn't anything for that. You know, I mean, I guess you can go on the backside and talk to the chaplain and stuff like that. But as jockeys, you know, we really don't have um, anybody to go talk to us. I guess just other riders, pretty much. And you're right. I mean, a lot of kids that do go out there and start out their success real early and stuff like that, and then you know they get to partying and just going crazy, which we're all gonna party and have fun. I mean, you know, but you just got to enjoy it to a certain extent. You just can't keep going and going and going like that. But I mean, you know, you start making, you know, that decent money and you're a kid and you don't really know what to do with it, but just go out there and spend it and enjoy it. And then once you kind of get to that where okay, now you're not making what you used to make and stuff like that. So it kind of gets hard. But I mean, a lot of it is too is that, like I said, you just got to have. Like I said, my dad always put the work in, saying you just got to do the work, and then go from there. And I was never, I mean, me myself, I was never given anything, so I had to go out there and work hard for it and try to get, make my own name and get people to ride me because of my height and everything like that. So I mean, I was always something that I had to go do. So I kind of knew that that's, I just wanted to be that way. So I mean, it's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of cocky kids out there, cocky jockeys out there, and they just don't. They just think that hey, they're winning races because of them, and it's not that. That's not the case. When you're winning races, it's because of the horse you're on. It's not because of what you're doing. And I believe in that. I mean, a lot of people want to say, "Oh, well, you're a great rider and stuff like that." Yeah, I'm a great rider because of the horse I've been riding, the horses I've been riding, and things like that. So I mean, I just always put it on the horse. But I mean. We have to have a fast horse. If you don't have a fast horse, you're not going to win. I don't care who you are.
Well, you certainly wouldn't win if you were riding me, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I got a quick question for you real quick. Grandma Horse Racing wants to know, do you mentor young jockeys? Or let me add on to that. If there is a jockey who is having an issue and they wanted to reach out to you, would you be open to them reaching out to you?
Oh, I definitely try to help everybody. I mean, I would always, my door is always open to talk to everybody. And yes, I've talked to a bunch of different jockeys, even riders that are, getting ready to come out and start. I try to talk to them and help them and just explain the game to them. And like I said just now, I just tell them, enjoy it. Don't put so much pressure on yourself and, things like that. I mean, there's a lot of young riders out there that can ride. And I mean, there's a lot of riders out there, period, that can ride, but they don't get the chance, So, you got to work hard and try to get that and fight for that chance, but you can't always beat yourself up either at the same time. You got to just, relax and enjoy it. I mean, it'll come. And if it don't come, I mean, keep fighting until it comes. I mean, we all have to fight for everything we want in life.
And you're a great credit to that because, I mean, your career kind of got off to a slow start and then blossomed. So, I mean, be a good inspiration.
I think I went probably 40 or 50 races. I did terrible. I couldn't get going at all. I mean, whenever I, like I said, it just, things happen for a reason. And, I got going and it just went from there. But I mean, it's not like you start, I mean, there's very few of us that start out with, winning races, period, like one a day or every day and stuff like that. So, I mean, you go out there, you just try to win whatever you can. And then, learn that you're not going to win every day. You're not going to, some days you might not even ride as a young rider. You got to understand that too, but you still got to go out there and beat down the door and just keep trying to go through it.
Another quick question for you from Keith Simon. DeShawn, who is a trainer on the rise that people know, but is not a huge name yet?
Oh, there's a lot of them out there. There's one trainer, he's a good friend of mine too. I like him. I mean, his brother trains, but Ethan West, he's a young trainer on the rise. He's got a lot of horses now, and he's starting to do good. I mean, there's you guys had Alexis Clare on the other day or a month or two ago, whatever. She's doing good. I mean, she's on the rise too, and I mean, I'm proud of her because she's doing everything herself. I mean, she's out there, and they all, I mean, a lot of them do. I'm not going to say she's the only one, but, Ethan, he's out there galloping his horses. Alexis, they're out there galloping their horses. They're getting on their own horses. I mean, they're doing everything themselves and, still trying to get bigger and better, which I like. I mean, but there's a lot of them out there that are really on the rise is doing good, which, I mean, I like to name more if I could think of them. I mean, I feel bad that I'm not thinking about them right now because there's a lot of great trainers out there that they're coming up, and hopefully they get the big horse and one day they're and get to the show.
Indeed. Sorry, Sean. Once again, I took over. I apologize.
That's okay. No, what Sean's suffering from right now, we suffer from time to time too. You have all these thoughts in your head, and then it just goes away. You're like, what are we talking about? Yeah. So you mentioned about not having rides, or how hard is it? I always like you had a lot of time, I guess, in the room yesterday or today. You only had one mount, correct? How tough are those days when you're concentrating on that one horse?
Oh, it's not that bad. I mean, I guess I'm so used to riding so many to where when I do ride one, I kind of feel like, it's easy day. I kind of like it. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like it because I want to ride more, because the more chances you have, the more chance you have to win. But I mean, it's not bad. I mean, in the jocks room, it's like family in there, so we have fun in there. So I mean, it's just being around the guys and then still hanging out and talking. And you ride your one, and if you get lucky, you get lucky. If you don't, you don't. But you come back to fight another day.
And part of the other subject too, how glad are you that social media really wasn't around when you started riding?
Oh my God, that's a blessing. I just can't. Trust me, I try to stay off of social media as much as I can. I just can't imagine reading every comment that these guys put out there and how bad you are, you suck. I mean, it used to be you go to the racetrack and they tell you go back home, you suck, you can't ride. Now they do it all over social media, so everybody's got to read it. At least when that one guy was hollering at you at the racetrack, a couple people only heard every once in a while, and they didn't really think about it. But on the social media, everybody's reading it, and it's hard. I mean, that's why I say I don't let that stuff get to me, and I try to stay away from it. And I know a lot of young guys are on social media and are really into it strong, and they read it, and that gets to their heads and stuff like that. So I mean, that's one reason I try not to stay off. I stay off of social media and don't let all the bad, negative, and comments and stuff like that get to me. I mean, trust me, you definitely want to. You love hearing the good comments, but you definitely don't want to read the bad ones. But you got to. I guess you got to read the good with the bad, but I try not to.
I agree with Mike Tyson. You familiar with what Mike Tyson said about folks on Twitter and stuff?
I didn't hear that.
Mike Tyson said that the keyboard now has empowered people to say stuff that they wouldn't say before because they would get punched in the mouth, right? And if Mike's going to punch you in the mouth, right? So I don't know if you saw that video where he hit the guy on the airplane, but he said a lot of that was what that was all about. But
yeah,
I agree with him. I think people say a lot of crap on Twitter that they shouldn't. And I was thinking as you said that maybe we should do a segment. I don't know who it does, Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon or one of them, but they have like where they read the mean tweets. Maybe we can do a horse racing segment where we read the mean tweets and then we say something really snarky back to the person who's doing the mean tweets.
Yeah, that'd be nice to finally get them back, because I love when, this is what I always like tell, a lot of guys too. I mean, here are people that are talking and telling you bad things. They've never been on a horse. They probably never even rode a horse, and they want to tell you what you're doing wrong. And I said, so why are you listening to them or even worrying about them? I said, they can't do your job. So why listen and worry about what they're telling you? It's easy to tell you, oh, you should have did this at that time. But when you're out there, it's not the same as sitting there watching it on TV or watching it live at the racetrack. It's totally different when you're out there. So, I mean, like I tell a lot of them too, don't look into all that hard to where they're telling you you're bad at your job when they've never done your job.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you think that's a part of the sport?
I will say one thing too. I'm bad at it too because I'm watching the football game. I'm telling, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't play football, so I can't tell them guys what to do. Yeah,
but you're using that in the living room. You're not, telling them directly to their face or on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
I actually think that's the part you said about getting to the track and yelling at you. I think that's the part where horse racing needs to separate themselves. I think it's the coolest thing that, whether it's reaching out to you on Twitter, getting to talk to you through text, getting to meet you at the track. I think that's something you can't do that with NFL players. You can't do that with NBA players. You can't do that with baseball players. So I think that's the part, because I got to say 90% of jockeys that I've ever reached out to are more than willing to talk to fans and talk to whoever.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I like about New Orleans here. The fairgrounds, a lot of guys that come out there and talk to you every day. And I mean, that's pretty fun.
So I gotta say, we got more questions for you, but I gotta say, in terms of bringing people on here, let's bring what we got in. Dennis Saul says that.
Man.
He says, "Hey there, DeShawn. Glad to see you doing great. You are one of my favorite jockey I had the pleasure of riding with over the years."
Dennis, I'll tell you what, he was one of those hard-working guys, man. He'd go out there and work or gallop 15 horses in the morning and then ride 8 or 9 a day. I mean, he was just something else.
Is that Dana's dad too, right?
Huh?
Is that Dana Soul's dad, the trainer too, or no?
No,
I don't know.
Well, he can let us know in the comments, but he also notes that in the comments you're a class act. And then Zuluma DeWitts, and forgive me, folks, if I'm more than half blind, and I got to really squint to see this stuff. So hi, DeShawn, from your old friend Zulima DeWitts. All of us back here at home are proud of you. Love you, my friend. Keep being the great person you are. Keep up the great work. God bless you, your career, and your family. Let's see what else we got.
Zuli's great. She's a great girl. She's one thing I will say. Every time I do something, you know, or win something, she's always posting, and she's my social media half the time. So.
Dennis says that you were tough to beat down the lane at Mountaineer. Our Terry Hayes says, I completely agree with DeShawn. Jockeys are the best athletes in all of sports, for sure. Andy Gonzalez says, Big D, big heart, always been my top jock. So you're getting a lot of love in here. A couple more questions for you. Lloyd Green says, or asks, about how important are 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 5 pounds, 10 pounds? How important is the weight?
I would say, like, going short, I don't think the weight really bothers a horse or anything like that. But I would say going long or something like that on fillies, maybe, you know, you could say, okay, the weight will hurt them or something like that. But I mean, I don't really think the weight is really that big of an issue, because if it's really like even sometimes in winter racing, whenever you you go and you weigh, you go and you pile on a lot of clothes, so you're really carrying more weight than what, you know, is out there saying. So I mean, they are carrying a heavier weight, and I really don't think it's that big of an ordeal. Maybe if you have a small filly going long or something like that, maybe, but other than that, I really don't think it helps out much more.
My only question with that then is a lot of apprentices. A lot of apprentices that do have the weight break, they do really well, and then they lose that weight and they don't do well.
Yeah, so, but and I guess that's true. I mean, but there's sometimes, but you know, a lot of times, whenever an apprentice rider loses their bug or something like that at a bigger track, they're just not getting the same mounts that they're getting because of they don't have that weight allowance to get for them to put them on the horse. But I mean, I don't really think that they're really winning races like that just because they're 5 pounds lighter on a horse or something like that.
And another idea, now that we're on weight and the mental health aspect and what you guys go through, what about the thought of raising the weight? Do you think that's ever possible, ever going to happen? And what would be the difference if you guys all weighed 130, 135?
I think honestly it wouldn't make a difference. I mean, it would help a lot of guys out to where they're not you know, beating themselves up so much in the hot box to lose the weight and everything. But I mean, I really don't think that you have those guys, you have your exercise riders in the morning getting them horses every morning when 150, 160 and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't think the weight's gonna do any, you know, hurt them that bad to where I'm not gonna sit up there and say you want to be at 150 and stuff like that. I get it. Trainers don't want that. But I mean, I don't think the heavier weights are really gonna hurt the horse or anything like that.
But if everybody weighed 150, it wouldn't be any different, right? I mean, because we'd be carrying the same horse, everybody would be carrying the same weight.
Same weight, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's no different. I mean, I get it too. You don't want to add too much weight to a horse on, you know, while they're running that fast and stuff like that. I understand that, but I mean, I don't think you have to be 110, 112 pounds, anymore to do all that either.
I think in England for COVID, they did raise the weight to like 135, and then they started bringing it back down. And I know that there was a lot of consternation over that from the jockey colonies over there because they were happier at 135 for sure. I can imagine.
Oh, definitely.
Looks like you're getting a little bit more love from Daryl Brinkley. Says, love you, proud of what you've become and what you've accomplished. Watch you every day.
Cool, man. Daryl, he started riding a little bit after I did, and I actually had his brother as an agent. We both had him together. He's probably one of my best agents, John Brinkley, and I mean, he was a good rider too at his time too.
Yeah, so I can imagine agents are important. So we were talking about that a little bit today on our show. How important is the agent in terms of getting you good mounts?
Well, today the agent is probably one of the best things you can have right now. I mean, before, like I would say 10, 15 years ago, a lot of the trainers are riding the jockey itself, to where I think now a lot of trainers are riding the agents, whoever they have and stuff like that. They're not riding yes, they would say, yeah, he's a good jockey and everything, but if you have such and such, I'm going to ride you because, that's who I want to deal with. So the agents are very important in the game right now. I mean, they're probably more important than the jockeys, if you want to know the truth.
Is that more like would you say an agent's more like a salesperson, or do you think that's more connections, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. I mean, you definitely got to sell us, but I mean, we have to sell ourselves too, So I mean, don't get. I mean, I'm not gonna say an agent can take just such and such and make them a great rider. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, a lot of the trainers are riding whoever that agent has, not just because of. I mean, just because of that agent, not because of what rider they have. I mean, what kind of a rider they have, but they're riding their riders. So I mean, agents are very, pretty strong in the game right now.
Well, Sean, you were thinking about becoming an agent. There you go.
I'm not sure if I'm that strong as an agent.
I wish that would have definitely been something. If I would have discovered something like this and had connections at a younger age, I might have went for the whole jockey agent thing.
That's pretty cool. I mean, if you love talking and you got the gift of gab, I mean, that's a great thing to do. And I mean, it's definitely. I mean, honestly, I tell you, this Santos, man, he's killing them. He's got riders everywhere. And I just don't. I'm thinking to myself, if I want to be an agent, do I think I can really control jockeys at 4 or 5 different tracks and not be there? And I mean, he has to just eat, sleep horses every day.
I always wondered that. It's kind of like the trainer that has 100 horses. I'm like, how are you doing all of this? Because he does. He has jockeys all over the place.
But I mean, I guess a lot of agents are starting to do that now. So I mean, hey, more power to them. I mean, I've got some great agents too. I mean, they're doing it too. So I mean, it's out there. Hopefully I'll be able to, if I quit riding and want to go that way, I hope I can get a couple good riders that just take me just because of who I am and help me do it, because I definitely need help if I had to go to different tracks and stuff like that.
So you're a day-to-day guy. We've gotten that. But now you said when you're done riding, where do you look at and go, okay, if I had a choice, I'd be done at this point?
Can I build on that? Because Grandma Horse Racing wants to know, where do you go from here? Any more goals? Which kind of folds into what Sean just asked.
I'll tell you, like I said, I definitely want to win a greater race, because that's always going to be something that everybody's going to say. So I definitely want to get that done. And the thing is I've won races that were not greater races, but they were money wise just as big as a greater race was. But I haven't won a greater race. So as of because of that grade 1 or grade 2 or grade 3 isn't behind it, it doesn't make it any better or something like that. But I mean, it really, I understand it, but I mean, it's just something I want to do just the way, so I can say I did that. And to be honest, I really don't. I never made goals in my career ever. You just try to keep winning and go from there and see what happens. And like I said, my career started out to where I wasn't even going to be a jockey, that long. So what I've done now, it's a goal and a half. I mean, I just can't. I don't even think I can really do anything better, other than maybe win that greater race or whatever.
Do you have any other tracks left to explore that you want to kind of be there for a meet?
Yeah, I would love to, or not even just to be there for a meet, but just to ride. I'd love to go ride Saratoga. I never rode over that way. I mean, rode Saratoga. I like to try, ride in California, not to stay, because it's pretty hard to ride over there, period, to stay over there. But I mean, I like to ride, ride at the track. And I like to ride at Woodbine, some different tracks. But I mean, I've got fortunate to ride at a lot of different tracks now that, I mean, I love it. So, I mean, other than that, I mean, I've ridden at Keeneland, which I love, Churchill and everything else. I mean, I can't really, like I said, only the other place I would really like is Saratoga, maybe, Woodbine.
Well, here, this is my attempt at being a jockey agent. DeShawn wants to ride a graded race at Saratoga. Let's make it happen.
No, he doesn't want to ride it. He wants to win it. So let's get him on let's get him on a 3. Let's get him on Life is Good for a race.
There we go.
Have you ever ridden at Jordan Parks asked, have you ever ridden at Charlestown?
Yes, I've ridden at Charlestown.
And of course, Terry's got to say, come to Golden Gate Fields. Right before
I'd love to go to Golden Gate. Yeah.
Before they sell it to make condos like they did here in Chicago to Arlington. I love to watch you ride.
Track that they gave away too. I mean, it's something,
Yeah, I drive by there because I'm in Chicago, and I drive out that way sometimes. It's really sad because it was a nice track, and it was really good location, right
Yeah,
off of a couple of highways, easy to get to. But Chicago traffic can be kind of, I mean, just terrible. It's horrible at times. But anyway, it is a shame that they closed that, a business decision. And Hawthorne now is the only track in Chicago, and it's kind of sad that a big city like Chicago has one track. Have you been at Hawthorne?
yeah. I rode at Hawthorne this past summer and everything. I mean, it's okay, but it's no Arlington.
What did you think about Stickney, Illinois? You don't have to answer that question because I
Yeah,
already know
thank
the answer. Well, that's where the track is, in case you're wondering what I mean by what do you think about Stickney.
It's not really a place I really wanted to stay. I actually went there and got hit by a guy. We're stopped at a red light, and he ran straight in the back to me. And I called. When we got out, he was like, "Oh, we don't need to call the cops, so we'll be okay. We just exchange numbers and stuff like that." So I was like, man, I gotta, for my insurance purpose, I gotta have a, police report. Well, as soon as I called the cops, he took off.
Yeah, because he doesn't have insurance,
Yeah,
and there's probably other mitigating circumstances considering Chicago. But anyway,
sure.
this city is nuts, man. I got to tell you, I live in a neighborhood where you never really thought about that's like the trouble that you read about in the papers, but it's really. I don't know what's going on. In any case, we'll talk about that another day. But in any case, back to horse racing, Sean. Any final thoughts before we let Sean go? Because you promised him 30 minutes, and as always, we run long because
we run a little. Well, I do 30 to 40 down because I know we go a little over. So you chuckled a little bit at Charlestown. So did you ever run the 4.5 furlong race? And at Mountaineer, did you ever run the 2 furlong races?
Yeah, I rode the 2 furlong races at Mountaineer. They're pretty fun. I would tell you, this is what my Charlestown story. I went there for the very first time with my agent, Billy Johnson, and his brother, Gary Johnson. He's training at Thistle and Mahoney right now. But I'd always heard bad stories about Charlestown, and you're gonna, they used to have a videotape of spills and stuff like that. So I already kind of had a bad feeling in my head and everything. Well, I went there and I rode 2 for Gary. I rode one for him, and win the first day I rode for him. And then I think I rode the second one the next day, and I got in so much trouble. And I said, hey, I'm never coming back to this place again. And that was one track that I never wanted to ride at. And then I guess at the time, I will say one thing. A lot of the jockeys are what you have to worry about. And when you get better riders, it's not as bad. So, I mean, I will say that I will go back to Charlestown because I have been back there and ridden and had, great success over there and win races. But I mean, there was one time I was like, I will never go back here and ride.
It's the demolition derby of horse racing.
Oh, big time.
Have you ever seen the Grand National, the race that they run in I think England?
Yeah,
where they have like 50 horse. I mean, that is literally the smash 'em up derby of horse racing.
Oh, you're right about that. I don't know. I don't think I'd want to do that.
I have never seen anything like that in my life. They start with like 50 horses, and by the time the race is over, there's more horses running without jockeys on them than there are horses with jockeys. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's absolutely insane. Speaking of, have you ever ridden? We'll start a whole new piece here. Have you ever ridden an Arabian race?
Yep, I rode one time and I won it.
So you won for one.
Yeah, it was that good Arabian horse. Calvin Burrell rode it. I think if the horse went at Churchill, it went a bunch of different tracks. I think it ran over in California, went a couple times, and that was a funny story too because I was gonna ride. My agent at the time, he's like, "Man, do you want to ride an Arabian?" I said, "I've never ridden one, and plus they're small." So I'm like, I think I might be a little too tall to ride this little thing. So he had me work it, and the horse worked all right. It was slow, but I felt okay. So that horse was I cannot remember the name of the horse or the Arabian horse, but it was a great one. I remember that. And the reason that they were running that horse was because the horse that I ended up riding wasn't coming to run in that race. So that horse would be pretty tough. So it worked out that my agent was that good that he found out that horse was coming in to run in that race. He got me on that horse or that Arabian. And so I worked the gray Arabian and didn't even ride it. And I ended up picking up the favorite in the race and win it. And like I said, it was probably one of the slowest races I ever rode in my life too. Going down the lane, I felt like, man, when's the wire ever going to get here? Because they were, they just run so, I guess, real fast, but going nowhere, I guess is how you can say it. But I ended up winning by probably a head, and this horse was supposed to be like 20 lengths the best, and I was like, man, I almost got the Arabian horse beat. So, but yeah, I rode one, win it, so I'm not good. And it was a stake race, so I figure let me be one and done.
So from Arabian to quarter horses, you ever read one of those things?
No, never want to.
I mean, they run them at Shelbyville sometime. No one's ever asked you to ride one?
That's why I don't want to ride them, because I see the ones at Shelbyville, and it's like every night there's one flipping in the gate. It's every race, it seems like. I mean, they are wired so high. I just no.
You'll get to the wire quick.
Yeah, you get to the wire quick. You don't know if you're gonna go straight. You don't know if you're gonna make a left turn. You don't know if you're gonna make a right turn.
All right, now so Zumela has two questions for you. One, did you ever ride at Tampa Bay? So have you ever ridden in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I rode at Tampa Bay. I want to say it was actually after the year I won the for many races. I want to say like 2011, 2012.
And then this one I'm gonna guess no, but she said, have you ever ridden a spectator camel race?
No.
I was watching the other day because we do like a Foreign Friday show where we were doing Dubai. And so I was trying to find a channel where they were speaking English and not Arabic. And I was flicking through the channels. They actually had camel races, and I thought this has got to be a spoof, but it was real. But anyway,
yeah. So, well, they have actually. I don't think they have them here, but they had them at Houston a lot. And I see a lot of those camels. I mean, the people look like they're about to fall out the thing and everything like that. I'm like, I don't want to ride that or ostrich, because you got to bail off the ostrich at the wire. I'm like, no.
Oh, really? You got to jump off of them?
Oh, you got to jump off of them because they run straight into the trailer, so you got to get off of them.
That's interesting. All right. And then anyway, Grandma Horse Racing, one last compliment. You're the best in the industry. I hope younger jockeys will take your lead and enjoy what they do. I agree. That's
I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that.
That if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I'm sure that's how you feel.
That is definitely that's what I tell my son all the time. You know, I tell him, you find a job you love, and it'll be the best job you ever have, because it's not like you're working. And that's how I feel. That's why everybody says, hey, when are you going to quit riding? I say, hey, when I quit riding, I'm going to lose my fun thing, and I got to go do a real job. So I might be in trouble then. I might not like the job I do next. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you will.
But I mean, I love what I do. So I mean, like I say, I mean, I know I'm going to have to retire one day, but I don't know when that day will be.
So then the obvious question was, have you ever ridden an ostrich? But I think you kind of mentioned that you would not ride one because you don't want to bail at the end.
No, that's not for me. I'll leave that to the younger jockeys. They can do that.
Yeah, I don't think I rode a horse once, and it was difficult for me. And it was an old horse. He had no intention of following any commands. He was only interested in the filly up on the hill, quite literally. And I thought he was going to jump over one of those, like those wooden fences you see on a farm where you got the pole and then the two wooden poles. There's a lake and then a hill that this other filly was training on. And he literally kept going out there to look at her. And I could tell he had something else on his mind, and it wasn't me. So I wanted to get off that horse as fast as I could. If it was me, I really wanted to get the hell out of there. But anyway,
I think if you get on a horse the first time and you love it, then it's a great thing. If you hate it, you probably will never get back on another horse. So.
No, I liked it. It didn't like me. The relationship was reversed. Any final things, Sean, before we get up and get out of here?
Well, I have to say, Jamie is disappointed that she wasn't able to be here tonight. She's on a cruise. She said a million times leading up to the show, and she wanted me to say how proud of you she is and everything like that. So we'll definitely get you back on when Jamie's hosting, because she'll get as soon as she gets back from vacation, she'll tell me to reschedule you so she can be on. And Julie's sick and disappointed too.
Yeah, she's with Willie, and I mean, they're what great people they are. And Julie's with Andre, man. I saw Andre when he was a kid, and I'm like, man, that was like something, that'd be something crazy. I used to actually, his dad took me to Jamaica to ride, and when I went over there, it was like he was like king over there, Ramjeet, So I mean, it was like the best time ever. He took me over there twice to ride, and I had so much fun.
Did you win
Somehow
any
I
races
think
over
with
there?
Jamie on
I
a tropical
actually
island.
I went 3 that day. It was their big day. I went 3. I think both times I went over, I think I went 3 both times. So that was
Do
great.
they get mad at you when you go over there and you come
Oh
out of nowhere?
no.
And you...
I'll tell you what, they love you over there. I mean, it was probably, like I said, it was one of the best time. Actually, he was over there, and here's a funny story too. We were driving on the road and just going to the beach, I think, or whatever, and we were drinking, having a good time. So I like took a drink, and we were on the road. Next thing I know, the sirens behind us, and we are getting pulled over. And I'm like, oh man, I told Ranjit, I'm like, what we do? Are you speeding? He's like, no, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what they're pulling us over for. So the cop comes up to the window and says, hey, is that DeShawn Parker in the car? And I'm like, I'm scared to death. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. They really want to say yes. I was like, yeah. He's like, oh man, I just wanted to shake your hand. You're the best. I was just wanted to. And so I mean, it was so funny. I thought I was in trouble, and they just wanted to pull me over just to say hi.
So, are you allowed to say anything to the horse during the race? There are a lot of jockeys have told us they talk to the horse during the race. Some of them told us they sing to the horse during the race. I mean, do you do either?
I don't really talk. I yell a lot. I mean, Marcelino Pedrosa, he's one of the worst. He yells, I mean, so loud. So when you start hearing him, you start yelling just because you want your horse to go, So, I mean, but I never really talk to him, though. But I do yell at him a lot.
And then do you yell at each other?
Oh, yeah.
During the race?
Oh, yeah.
Now, there was a race on Saturday I saw at Gulfstream Park where I think it was Irad got cut off pretty bad at the rail, and you could see him in the back of the pack shaking his fist. I would have loved to have been in the room after that because we know Irad sometimes can get a little hot. Ask Paco.
Well, trust me, there was probably a lot of words said out there that you don't want to talk about. But I mean, there definitely are words said out there that when you come to the room, you're probably gonna continue talking about it.
So yeah, Lloyd asks, he said, because he heard a good story about Julie Crone and Angel Cordero talking to horses. And Ronnie Gaeta wants to know if you're going to come back to the Lone Star State down to Texas.
Oh, I love Texas. I think their big stake day, there's a couple of chances I might go and ride a couple, but I mean, I love Texas. So I mean, I have nothing bad. I'd come back anytime.
Yeah, Dallas isn't too far from where you are now, right?
No,
6-hour drive.
Yeah, I want to say that. Yeah,
but Houston's probably a whole different story.
Houston, no, I don't know because I think it's a little further away. But I mean, there's a bunch of guys that are going to ride there that day, their champion day or whatever in Houston. So, but I love Houston. I love Lone Star. They both are great tracks. I mean, and they're beautiful places too. I mean, they're big, nice.
I don't know what happened to Sean. Sean up and disappeared, so he had enough, I guess. Maybe his son shot him with one of them Nerf guns again and took him out because he likes to do that. All right, one last question from me. You've ridden all over the place. You're right now in Louisiana at the fairgrounds. Of all the places that you ride, if folks go there just for the food, which track, which city is the one to go to?
Oh, hands down, New Orleans. You can't beat it. You can go to any restaurant here and you have great food. And like I said, you can go to you try to go to, there's so many here that have great food that you can't even get to all of them. That's how bad it is, but it's a good thing too, but.
So what's your go-to meal and where are people going to find you after the races?
Well, I like the crab legs over this way too, but I mean, the gumbo, you can't beat it. And I mean, I've been trying everything if you want to know the truth.
Well, I haven't been down there yet, so I plan on going to the fairgrounds one of these days, catching that great Louisiana food. But until then,
you got to get here. Right now, the king cake, everybody's king cake this, king cake that, which I'm not a sweet eater, so I'm not really big on the king cake, but that's the big thing right now.
All right, I lied. One last thing, NFL playoffs. You following anybody?
Oh, what? I'm a Cincinnati Bengal fan. Yesterday we won, so man, I was screaming yesterday. So we got another week, so I'm definitely a Bengals fan.
Oh yeah, well you got Joe Cool, man. I mean, I don't think there's
that's a good thing too. Like here now in New Orleans, that since the Saints aren't in it, a lot of the New Orleans fans are Joe Burrow fans, so they're all about Cincinnati too.
So you mentioned your favorite food down there is that gumbo right now? You get a lot of gumbo. You like the gumbo, and then
I mean the crawfish right now are small, so they don't really have them right now. But when they come to season, I definitely want to smash them because they're really good too.
So you got Janet. She likes the Bengals as well. You got to like Joe Cool. There's nothing. You got to like the way he dresses, his style out on the field. I mean, there's nothing 2023 that Joe Cool doesn't represent. So I didn't want to bring that up. So we were talking about all the different kind of horse races. Have you ever ridden one in the Chariots?
No, never did that either.
Terry likes the 49ers.
Yeah, I do want to do that because I mean it seemed like it's pretty fun, but I mean I haven't done.
You can do some kind of charity race where you do a bunch of jockeys and you guys that never have done that kind of thing. That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool.
And that's something we could probably even do, Sean, because there's guys our size.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
All right, so now we're up to 50 minutes. Again, I do appreciate you coming on, DeShawn. I know that Jamie's looking forward to joining it next time. But I think there's a little bit of crocodile tears, though, when you're on a cruise and you're going to nice islands and stuff like that.
She's not worried about talking to me right now. She's worried about drinking that mixed drink she's got in her hand and loving that weather. So.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Well, we certainly loved our time with you tonight. Look forward to the next time and have a great night and good luck with your Bengals.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. You guys, I appreciate you having me on. I mean, let me know anytime. I'll be back. For sure.
Fantastic. Well, when we're down in your neighborhood, we'll stop by to say hello too.
Oh, sounds good. We'll go get some gumbo.
All right, indeed, for sure. I'm gonna hold you up to that too. All right, DeShawn. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Sean. Well, I'm out of tune there, maybe giving myself the big head. So where did you go?
Internet again, and then I tried to switch over to the hotspot and it's trying to connect to the internet that's not doing very well, so it just wasn't loading. So yeah, we're 0 for 3. Jamie Cruz, Julie's sick, and now I'm bailing on you too with the internet connection. So Rich is all by himself staying alive. Yeah.
Well, I went out for a couple seconds in the internet too, but mine came back.
Like you really had to complain being on with DeShawn, man. You could talk to DeShawn for hours.
Well, we did just about an hour. So
yeah.
Right. So when I first started in 2016 Monday nights, I would look up to see the winners and always see DeShawn Parker. Yeah, DeShawn's definitely a lot of fun. Good to have him on the show. I appreciate that.
The only thing I wanted to bust on him on, but we changed the subject quickly, was he was sticking up for you for that argument. You always say that it's always the horse and not the jockey.
I don't think he knew he was sticking up for me, but indeed.
No.
That's because I'm a data guy, Sean. I run through the data and then I look to see. I change the weights and the percentages, and the horse does make a difference.
No, absolutely. And I'm not saying the horse doesn't. You can't win with a horse. That's just can't win. But you see it all the time. I mean, look at Manny Franco right now. Like when people are in zones, they're in zones. You can't tell me it's just because they're on that best horse every race. That's not the case. They're making the right decisions and then people that struggle, they go in through those bad zones where even when they have the good horse, they're just making that wrong decision. And it happens, in life with any job. So it's not criticism to the jockey neither. They're going to have their ups and downs. And then sometimes things go together too. You're in a slump and the horse that's supposed to win really isn't as good as it looks on paper. So.
Or it's peaked, right? And it's coming down. And so it looks good on paper. And I think that's one of the challenges of handicapping is trying to determine when a horse is peaked, because everybody's looking at some of the same things. And when you look to see a horse is trending in the one direction and maybe it's peaked. So you got to kind of try to find a horse that's maybe on its way up and then see if it can go to a higher level than the one that has probably peaked. All right, Sean. Well, tomorrow night, maybe I'll be back. Maybe I won't be back. Maybe Julie will be back. I don't know. But regardless if it's Julie or I, who will you be joined by?
It's going to be another great guest. Well, first time on Horse Center, but we've had her on other shows, Katie Davis McCarthy. Mm-hmm. So she's back to riding, and she's winning too. And she's bringing in I think yesterday she brought in like a 15-1 for second too. So she's back to riding, doing what she loves, and she's doing well again. And then Wednesday, we have Julie's old boss on, trainer David Fawkes. And from what Julie says, he has some of the best stories and stuff like that. And he also tried to ride a race or two as a jockey. So he's got tons of.
But did he ever try to ride an ostrich?
That I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, that's the question we have to ask from now on. If you ever ridden an ostrich, and how did you?
We got to come up with a collection of questions that we always get the best responses for, like 5 to 10 questions, and ask just every guest that comes on.
Mm-hmm. And then as far as tomorrow, Terry and I will be back to try our luck at Parks again. I've been having this strange luck where I can do a pick 3 or I can do a pick 4, and I'll get 3 out of 4. And then the very next horse that I had in my rankings is the one that I miss on, like in the race I miss. So I'll leave it my second horse and my third pick. And there's always this gymnastics about, who you're ranking first, who you're ranking second, who you're ranking third. But we're going to try again, Parks, tomorrow, Wednesday, to be back with Charles for Gulfstream. Thursday, back with Charles again for Aqueduct. Friday, our good friend Tom has recovered quicker than he expected, so we'll be doing Randwick down in Australia. And then on Saturday, I think we're probably going to do the fairgrounds because I think they have big races. The Comte is this weekend, I think.
Yep.
So
Kentucky Derby Prep, yep.
So we'll be trying to knock that one out. Maybe myself and Chris Parmalu will get together for like a data view of the Lecomte, not necessarily the handicapping angle of things. And we're working on a lot of great behind-the-scenes stuff. On February 1st, I will be, along with Jamie and maybe Willie, probably Willie too, but at Tampa Bay Downs. So if you're in Tampa Bay area on February the 1st, please make sure you stop by and say hello. And then on the 5th, I think, well, Wednesday we're going to be at Tampa, and then Saturday we're going to be on the Gulfstream. So if you're at Gulfstream or Tampa, please stop by, say hello. We'd like to connect a face to a message in the comment section. It would be wonderful. And then we're planning on some other things too. Maybe down in April at the Apple Blossom. That's what happens when you put apple and blossom together, and it all comes out as one word. But we're going to be down at the Apple Blossom at Oak Lawn. So if you're in that neighborhood, please stop by. And our goal for 2023 is to get out to the tracks, create a lot of great content that we're going to bring. So make sure if you haven't done so already, you hit the subscribe button, you tell your friends about us, you do all that good stuff, and you can support the show and help us out a little bit by heading down in the description below and clicking on it and picking up some horse racing today gear. Anything else?
No, I mean, I say it all the time on social media, and I say it here too. I appreciate everybody that tunes in, does the questions. I appreciate all the people that come on the show with open arms too. I mean, anytime I reach out to people, they're willing to come on. So really helps us, and we appreciate it a lot.
Indeed, for sure. All right. Well, that takes us wire to wire for this Monday, Sean. It's been a long day for me. I mean, I've been all horse racing all day. Now I got to get ready for at Park. So I'll be up till about 8 o'clock here, probably 1 o'clock in the morning before I'm ready to go to bed tonight. But
after you watch the Cowboys lose.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch them. Certainly, I'll just keep an eye on it on the internet. But I hope they don't lose, but they might. In any case, Sean, till we get back together tomorrow, I hope that the Cowboys and everything else that you do ends up in
the winner circle.
Absolutely. Have a fantastic Monday night. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.